Since the involvement of NASCAR superstars Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kevin Harvick, Jeff Burton, and Justin Marks, the notoriety of the Cars Tour and its competitors has skyrocketed. The racing speaks for itself because it's true, grassroots, hard-nosed late model racing at its best. And we're here to bring that action to light. This is On Tour.
Welcome to the 9th episode of On Tour. I'm Chase Folsom, or as you guys may know me as Chuck, co-host of this show and the lead Cars Tour reporter for FrontStretch.com. And you may be wondering why my co-host looks a little bit different tonight. We called an audible because Buddy is sick, so we have Seth Dolby, the host of Push to Pass, our IndyCar show on the channel, and the co-host of the Big Butter Small Blade podcast. Seth, nice to have you here.
It's nice to be here, Chuck. You guys can just call me Buddy Pulley from Temu if you'd like. I like to introduce myself as Buddy all the time on the show on accident, so yeah, that fits.
I think it's kind of fitting because when we were stalling on the podcast this week, if you haven't watched it, go do so. We literally said, well, Seth, you haven't been on tour yet. And here we are a few days later. But anyway, moving on to what actually matters. The Cars Tour was at Dominion Raceway in Virginia last Saturday night. It was Butterbean taking the win, but Dominion Raceway, we got to talk about it. That was my first time there. That is an A-plus facility. Seth, I know you have never been there before. I'm going to advise you to go there in the future.
Okay.
They have a bar on the front straightaway that you can watch the race from. They have a Jumbotron. There is a hotel, a full-size hotel, sitting outside turn 3. And there's a Sheetz 200 yards away. It's amazing.
This sounds like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I don't know why. And there's a road course around the track. Like, I don't know why we don't have this at every racetrack. It was awesome. The racetrack itself is super racy. The press boxes are nice. I mean, it is a 10 out of 10 facility. And there's really not a bad seat there at all. So, yeah, we're going to have to get you guys up there next year for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely sounds like it.
So you watched some of the highlights.
Yes.
How did the racing look from the television side? Because obviously I was there. So how did it look from the TV perspective?
I mean, it looked good. Obviously Butterbean ran away with it, which I thought was kind of funny because right before, to prepare for this, I watched the last episode of On Tour and I watched this highlight reel, and y'all went on and on about how Butterbean would qualify well and then drop to the back just to save tires and run through the field. And then I'm watching this, getting ready to do this, and he's just, whooping up on him all night long in the front. So I thought that was kind of funny. But the battles from about third on back were all really good. Obviously, we had the big battle between, help me with names,
Trade Lapsevich and Connor Jones.
Yes, those two.
We'll get to them in a little bit.
Apologies to those two. But that battle was awesome. Obviously, Carson Kvapil and Connor Jones.
Yep.
They were battling hard too. Connor probably could have, not hit him every corner, but it was still a fun battle. So yeah, I thought it looked like a really good race on TV. So what did you think of it at the track?
So in my head, I can't say what number for late model stock cars, what number track this is for me. It's somewhere close to 10. By far the fastest racetrack I've ever been to for a late model stock car race. You're sitting there, and obviously Wilkesboro is a bigger track. Dominion's 0.4 of a mile. Wilkesboro's 0.625 roughly. Dominion looks way faster. They are carrying so much speed around that place. It makes them look like they're going at snail's pace at places like New River and Hickory. It's truly a sight to see. And yeah, I thought the racing was fantastic other than out front. So we just mentioned Butterbean ran away with it, but we got to give you the rest of the results. So here's the rundown from 2nd through 30th.
Connor Hall finished 2nd. Trayton Lapsevich finished 3rd. Connor Jones came home 4th. Minnie Tyrell ended up 5th. Ryan Millington ended up 6th. Carson Kvapil came home in 7th. Landon Lewis ended up in 8th. Brent Cruz came home 9th. Andrew Grady in 10th. Landon Pimpleton came home in 11th. Davey Callahan came home in 12th. Brandon Pierce ended up 13th. Jason Kitzmiller ended up 14th. Isabella Robusto ended up 15th. Jacob Hefner ended up 16th. Logan Clark finished 17th. Jonathan Findlay ended up 18th. Mason Bailey came home in 19th. Katie Hedinger finished 20th. Bobby McCarty ended up 21st. Bryce Applegate, 22nd. Bubby Isles Jr. in 23rd. Peyton Sellers in 24th. Chad McCumbee in 25th. Chase Burrow in 26th. Mason Diaz in 27th. 28th was Deke McCaskill. Hayde Brown in 29th. And rounding out the field, it was Dustin Storm in 30th.
So you just heard the results there. As you may have noticed, there were some names farther down the order than they normally are, like Cade Brown, Deke McCaskill, just some examples. If you weren't watching, there was a huge pileup on the opening lap of the race. Coming to green, I believe it was Bryce Applegate, misses a shift, starting sixth, stacks up the whole outside lane, and caught a bunch of guys out. Caused some guys to have some really bad days, but somebody who didn't have that problem was Brendan Queen, who led all 125 laps from the pole. Let's hear what he had to say about it.
Not only Tri-County a couple weeks ago, but if you go back Tri-County last year and Caraway, it's now 4 times in the past calendar year that you've led all 125 laps. So you guys have a good race car. It's a great race car. Where does that come from, these old school butt kickings that you give them? we like to give butt whoopings, right? So, man, it's just Lee Floyd performance, people doubted him and I never did. And, when I signed there, I told him, no other team I'd want to go drive a late model stock car for. He's the best I ever raced against, and now getting to work with him is proving to everybody like his cars are bad to the bone, and you don't really see a lot of people leading every lap in this series anymore. So I really don't ever take it for granted. It's very special, and you like winning the close ones and you like winning the good battles, but it's always nice to dominate too.
So as you guys see, Seth's representing with the Butterbean shirt. He mentioned how good his race cars have been and that when he gets out front, he just tends to stay there. Seth, there kind of seems to be a trend brewing with what happens when the rest of the field lets Butterbean get out front in these races.
Yeah, that's his second time leading going wire to wire this season, as you informed me. I didn't actually know that off the top of my head, but yeah, I mean, between what he's done in the car store recently and what he did in the truck race, he clearly just kind of can dominate when he has the car under him. So, yeah, it doesn't bode well for the rest of the field, especially since, Carson's kind of taking a back seat a little bit. Looks like it's going to be tough to beat him. Obviously, he and Connor Hall are starting to stretch out the points lead a bit, but I don't know how you can bet against Butterbean right now. I mean, anything could happen, but I don't know how you can bet against him right now.
Yeah, when you have a guy that's led, I guess it'd be 250 of the past 375 laps in a series, that's kind of putting a beating on him. And actually, it's more than that because he led laps at Langley too. So he's taking it to him right now. That's not only the second time in the past 3 races, that's the 4th time in the past calendar year. They did it at Tri-County and Caraway to end the season last year. You mentioned it. Him and Connor Hall are starting to pull away with this battle. We've had a really close battle with a bunch of guys within one race. But the 2 most consistent guys have really been Connor and Butterbean. They've been up at the front. Each of them had a bad race in there. But they're starting to stretch their wings and flex some muscle. So I think we're going to see a 2-horse race down to the end. It was Connor who ended up finishing second, as you guys heard earlier. And Butterbean even said in his interview, I wasn't going to let him get to me like last week, referring to the contact they had at Langley. So this is going to be fun to watch at the end of the year. There's kind of a rivalry brewing there a little bit. A little bit of a jab there from Butterbean. I'm curious to know how that went over with Connor. But 2 other guys that had a really good battle in their own right was Trayton Lapsevich and Connor Jones, who battled it out over the last 9 laps of the race on the final restart for the 3rd spot. Let's hear what both of them had to say about the battle at the end.
With Trayton Lapsevich, who comes home 3rd tonight at Dominion Raceway with the Cars Tour, I got to talk to you about the battle at the end with Connor Jones. You guys swapped 3rd and 4th back and forth throughout the last 9 laps after the restart. Walk me through that battle because he had you jacked up a couple times. You ended up giving it back to him and getting the spot at the end.
Yeah, it was a fun battle. I knew that I was good on the top, so I was just trying to give him about as much room as I could on the bottom and almost running the 3rd lane up there and, get the good drive off the corner. The one time he threw a little bit of a slide bomb on me, and that's when I had to get back to the inside. But really happy that we could, race hard and still both finish and grab a good third place finish here tonight.
Tyler, how'd that last? You had a great battle at the end, though, but ended up finishing fourth. How'd it go for you?
Oh, yeah, me and Drayton had a really good battle. There's not much to say. The results show it. He got the better of the stick, but, I mean, it was still just a really good battle. I love racing people when they race like that. You know it. They're not just out there trying to wreck you the whole time.
So as you heard there, both of them chalked it up to hard racing. Seth, I'm going to go ahead and toss this to you. I'm curious of your thoughts on that battle.
Yeah, honestly, that was badass. Just how hard they went at it for so long and kept it pretty clean. I mean, there was, a little bit of contact, but hell, that's late model stock racing as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, that was pretty awesome. Obviously, Trayton's engine was going downhill at the end. I don't know what you said. It sounded like a next gen car.
It sounded like a not your typical late model stock.
Yeah. So obviously that's not good, but the only thing, excuse me, the only benefit that you do have when that happens is you kind of can carry more speed through the corner. So that might have helped in a little bit in that scenario, but still, either way, great race, great racing etiquette put on by the two of them, and just overall great show.
Yeah, Seth mentioned it. I don't know that if you could tell on the flow broadcast, but sitting at the exit of turn 4, it really happened before the last caution because Trayton was kind of in a gap by himself, and you'd hear him come by, and you were like, "He's that." It sounded rough. They later said, they weren't going to pull in. They were going for their first podium of the year, and I definitely think that helped him carry more speed around the outside. But something he did, and he is a rookie. For those that don't know, Trayton Lapcevich is a rookie, not only in this series, but in a late model stock car in general. He's the Canada Series champion and last year. Comes down here, completely different race car, new world for him, really. And he's picked up very quickly. He leads the series in top 10s. Not Connor Hall, not Carson Quapple, not Butterbean. Trayton Lapcevich leads the series in top 10s. And Connor Jones finally gave him a hip check. I think it was 3 to go. Going into turn 1, had a leg up on him going down the back, and he said, "Okay, 2 can play this game." He slammed the brakes, cut down in front of Mini Tyrell, and gave him the business right back into turn 3. That was kind of a rookie standing his ground moment, like, hey, you're going to show me some respect. And that stood out to me a lot. For a young guy, he's new to racing down here, to put his foot down and say, hey, you're not going to move me like that. I'll do it back to you. I don't have a problem with it. It showed me a lot about who he is as a driver, to race him fair still and not dump him. And he got the better end of it at the end. It's good karma, in my opinion. But yeah, that's everything you want to see from a late model stock car race. We saw it a year ago there with the battle between Butterbean and Carson and Bobby McCarty. Obviously this year, the Lee Pulliam guys hit the nail on the head with that 03 car. So it wasn't for the win, but third nonetheless is still a battle for a podium. And it was really fun to watch. I did mention Mini Tyrell there. I would be remiss if I didn't mention somewhere in this show that this race was the Mini's Mission 125. If you guys don't know Mini's Mission, I don't know the exact details, but it's basically to help young kids with cancer and their families, and try to raise money to help them pay for their medical bills and their treatment. Really, the whole week was about Mini Tyrell and his foundation to help those families in need. And I caught up with him after the race and got his thoughts on how the whole week went in general.
Mini Tyrell, who comes home 5th tonight at Dominion, but I want to talk about something else first. This race was the Mini's Mission 125, and with everything that you did with your foundation this week, would you call this event a success?
Oh, a huge success, man. Just everybody that supported it and came and was behind me through this whole event just knocked it out of the park, man. I couldn't have asked for a better series, better group of people to work with than the Car Store. The owners, the workers, the staff, the officials, everybody here. There's not one person that didn't tell me thank you tonight. And I can't thank them enough, because they're the ones that made it possible for me to do it. And just a huge success, man. The only thing what this was a little bumpy was the pre-race ceremonies. Fortunately, we had a medical emergency, so I hope that person's doing okay. I'm praying for him. But hell of a race either way. We still brought it home with the top 5. So can't complain about that. I mean, we won this weekend last night, so just super happy to be here today.
So you heard Minnie say there that the whole event was a big success. I mean, it'd be hard for me to add much to it. Anytime you can put together an event like that that has a bigger cause, there's certain things that are bigger than racing, and this was. And to see it be as successful as it was for their dinner that they did on Friday night for all the families, it made me really happy to see. Not just for him, but everybody involved. And just an example, the kid named Landon that was with Butterbean, he was actually with Butterbean last year. He won his battle and got to ring the bell the Monday prior that said he was done with his treatments. And that is a battle that is bigger than anything in racing could ever touch. So shout out to Minnie Tyrell for everything he does with the Minnie's Mission Foundation. It's a fantastic cause, and I hope to see them have more success with it in the future. We're going to get a quick word from our sponsors and friends at frontstretch.com, and we'll be right back with the end of the show.
Frontstretch.com is where you'll find all your racing content in one place for free. They have it all from NASCAR to F1 to IndyCar, grassroots racing, and even iRacing. Frontstretch has you covered with daily news for every series, weekly columns, and even on-site coverage at every NASCAR and Cars Tour event. Head over to frontstretch.com, subscribe to their YouTube page, and give them a follow on X to get your daily fix on all things motorsports.
As always, big thank you to everybody at Front Stretch for allowing us to have this show and use the content that I get at the racetrack, and thank them for even sending me to the racetrack, because sometimes I wonder why. I'm just kidding. If you want to see more interviews like the ones you've seen on this show or the full editions of the interviews on this show, head over to frontstretch.com or Front Stretch Grassroots YouTube channel. If you want to see any more NASCAR content, head over to the Front Stretch YouTube channel or frontstretch.com, and any open wheel content will be on the Front Stretch Open Wheel channel. Couple more things we got to hit on here. Nice to see Peyton Sellers at a Cars Tour event. Seth, you didn't actually know much about Peyton Sellers before we started this show, but now you do.
No. So Chase asked me what I knew about Peyton Sellers, and I said I knew that I had a diecast of his from like 2009, and that was pretty much it.
So yeah, anybody involved and heavily involved in the late model world knows Peyton has won the Martinsville 300. He's a multi-time Triple Crown champion, multi-time NASCAR Weekly National champion, multi-time Dominion Raceway yearly champion, South Boston. He's won it all. He's won basically everything there is to win in late model stock car racing, except for anything in the Cars Tour. That was his third career Cars Tour start. He's yet to score top 10, actually, oddly enough. He ran in Greenville Pickens in 2020, Caraway in 2022, and now here at Dominion. And this event looked to be going a lot better until it wasn't. He qualified second. He was fastest in practice on Friday. And I'm not sure, did the highlights show the bit like lap 4 of Isabella Robusto putting him in the wall?
Yeah, actually they did. Yep.
So what do you make of that situation there?
Looked like he just wasn't paying enough attention. I'm not really sure, because like it's all the way at the start finish line, was it not?
Are you talking about Peyton or Isabella?
Peyton was on the outside, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Isabella clearly wasn't paying enough attention, or didn't care. I'm not sure which, but ran into him halfway down down the front stretch. Sorry. Yeah, that's kind of shitty, I guess. I guess I'm not supposed to say that on this show. Sorry, but
it doesn't matter.
I'll bleep it. It's fine.
Yeah, that one was a tough one because Peyton never shows up to these events, and he's a hometown guy. He's kind of sort of. He's a local guy. And it was really cool to see him up front. And I thought he may have actually had something for Butterbean. He's got more laps around the racetrack than anybody else there. And it just sucks to see it end so early because it didn't end there, but it might as well have. The left front was caved in. That car started plowing after that. And really, Isabella just crowded him up into the wall. And there was no reason for that on lap 4. That's just obviously she's a great race car driver, but that's just a rookie mistake, It comes with time and experience that you learn how much of a gap you got to leave that guy on the outside. And everybody makes mistakes every now and then. He ultimately cuts a tire down on lap 32, hit the wall pretty hard, actually.
Yeah.
And ended his night. It was nice to see him again. I don't know if we'll see him again for the rest of the year. It may be 2 years, like it has been. I think he was supposed to run Wilkesboro before it got rained out. So we'll see if he's back in August or October. I would say August is probably the more likely date. Time will tell. Some other news in late model stock car racing. A race that both Seth and I are going to be attending. The July 3rd race at Caraway. We finally know who the mystery JRM driver is. It's William Byron driving the Junior Motorsports HendrickCars.com 24 car. Seth, that car looks really good. That paint scheme looks awesome on a late model stock car.
Yeah, it really does. Would have been nice if we had that last year. I kid. I have enough of those. But it's still, it's a great looking car. The orange valence is awesome. Cool to see William Byron. I have a hard time getting super enthusiastic about William Byron, but he'll probably have a better shot at it than Kyle Larson did, seeing as he's, actually a late model guy instead of Kyle, who does it once every 10 years. So,
yeah, I'm curious to see how he does because he comes from the super late model background. And I really don't know how much late model stock car experience he has, if any. I don't believe he has a late model stock car Cars Tour start to his name. So it's a bit of a transition. They don't really drive anything the same. Obviously, it's kind of the same discipline. It's a track he has run at before, if I'm not mistaken. And if he has made a start in a late model stock car, it's been a really long time. So it's cool to see him. It's kind of a bummer because I was hoping we got somebody cool like Corey Day or somebody in that car. That was who I prophesized. That obviously didn't happen. And we kind of knew that once Dale said it was a Cup guy. But nonetheless, it's always cool to see these NASCAR guys kind of join the late model ranks, because we have all these late model guys that come and they're not even really invading. They're just trying to start their careers and they show out against the Xfinity and truck guys. So it's nice to see the big dogs come back and play on the local playground. I don't know. I'm assuming that's something you like to see. I feel like it's really good for fan engagement as well.
I mean, it's great. It brings people out to the racetrack. Like people who otherwise wouldn't have bothered to come out to Caraway the past couple of years. Like me, I'd never been to Caraway before. And I literally called out of work. Sorry, boss. If I called out of work to go watch Kyle Larson run a race. And now here I am going again. And Byron is going, but I was going to go anyway. Because I'd been to a couple others, but I'm into it now. I'm a lot more into it than I was. But yeah, I think it's great. I think it's
there
great.
was a big crowd there last year when Kyle was there. I was shocked to see that many people there on a Wednesday. Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, when they ran the Saturday, I believe it was a Saturday afternoon for the championship race last year. It was the first week in November, so kind of rough to get race fans out to the racetrack, but there was hardly nobody there.
Yeah.
There was triple the crowd for the Wednesday night Caraway race. And Caraway is kind of in a tough spot. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. It's pretty close to me though, so that works out.
But anything when you can get more fans to the racetrack, that helps the series. And I think it helps the driver because you're going out and engaging with kind of a new fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Some people that may not get to see you go run a Cup race at Bristol or Charlotte or Martinsville, they can't afford it. They can afford to go to a Cars Tour show. Now those people are going to get to see you run, get to interact with you. I think it's a win for everybody in the end. Now, there's one last thing that you get to get introduced to on this show, something I normally put on Buddy because I'm normally not the host. And by the way, if you guys think I suck, I'm sorry. The great Buddy Pulley will be back for the next episode. This isn't my day job. Don't hate me. But we have a little thing called Chuck's Question of the Week, where I think of sometimes something stupid, sometimes something actually intriguing and intellectual. I'm about to decide right now which one it's going to be this week, but I'm about to give you your question of the week. So I'm going to exclude Carson Kvapil because he has some Junior Motorsports Hendrick backing right now.
Okay.
Of Caden Honeycutt and Brendan Queen, who has the better NASCAR career long term?
Who does Caden drive for when he drives trucks?
Mace, and he's done really good in them.
Okay. How old is Butterbean?
He's not the youngest.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Let me check this on the spot. This is why we have our phones up, guys.
Because while Chuck looks at this up, I'm
Brendan Queen is 26.
He's 20, so he's my age.
And I'm working on Caden right now.
Which is, of course, not old. Buddy is 27. He is old, though.
Caden is 20.
I feel like it's so I'm gonna say for now, I'm gonna say Caden. Just because we'll know, I feel like we'll know for sure. Butterbean's running Nashville in the truck, right?
Nashville and Kansas.
I feel like after Kansas, we'll kind of have more of a clear view of it. But I think that's going to show maybe a little bit of deficiency in his game, because obviously he's been doing the short track stuff for a while. I just think you get onto that big, wide open type of track where you need to run the top, you need to be able to dive to the bottom. It's just different. It's kind of the same concern I had about Josh Berry's career in NASCAR in the Cup Series last year when Buddy and I talked about this, just because it's such a different thing. And it's easier to move on from, like a Carson Kvapil is going to have a lot easier time moving on from it because he's, 21? Yeah. You just don't have as much time to develop bad habits, or not bad habits, but short, specific habits for one type of racing. So I'm leaning Caden at this point.
So I think it's tough because Caden has honestly taken the more traditional entrance to NASCAR. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people that have just learned this year that Caden Honeycutt's a late model driver. Because he kind of just he quietly got in a Nice truck last year and he ran some mile and a half and he wasn't that great on them. He was solid, nothing special. And then this year I feel like the sentiment around Caden has been, oh, this kid just about won Kansas and Charlotte. Who is?
Oh, wait, hang on. Butterbean is a dirt guy.
Yeah, he is. They both are. Caden actually just ran a super late model this past weekend.
Okay, so maybe I'm selling Butterbean short. I love you, Butterbean, but I might be selling you a little short. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
So they both come from dirt backgrounds. They both know how to wheel a race car. It's tough because Caden, like I said, Caden's kind of had the more traditional trajectory in. He's made a couple of Xfinity starts, and now he's kind of getting the spotlight for everything he does. Whereas both Carson and Butterbean have this label of the Cars Tour guys, which is so odd to me because Caden is too. He's full-time in the pros, and he's pretty close to full-time in the stocks. Butterbean's about to, depending how this Nashville race goes, he's about to have some serious Toyota backing. That's the thing. TRD is about to get behind him big time if he has a good showing at Nashville, and he's done a lot of sim work for it. He's really good at these racetracks where you have to move around and follow the grooves. To play devil's advocate, I'm going to say Butterbean. Just because if he puts on a big show at Nashville, Toyota's going to go. And he's just about going to be in the same boat as Carson is. We just know Carson's in the boat right now.
So if Toyota did that, he'd probably end up in a truck next year, right? Like
if they could pull sponsorship together, probably.
Yeah. That would put him at, if everything went right, being a, 30-year-old Cup rookie. So he'd be Josh Berry.
And that's not working out too bad for Josh Berry right now.
It's really not. They're solid. Rodney Childers wants to move on with him. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I could see
I don't
this.
know. I think it's a pretty good question that I came up with this week. But he's going to be mad that I didn't give it to him.
It's a tough question. It's a tough question
I ask him some dumb stuff sometimes.
Yeah, because Caden seems like, so yeah, Butterbean seems like he's kind of more of a dirt with the dirt background, but he seems like he's kind of in more of that Josh Berry mold. And Caden seems like he's in that, I want to say Ty Gibbs kind of mold ish. Maybe not. He's not Ty Gibbs good.
I'll give you Christian Eckes.
Okay. Christian Eckes. That'll work.
He's a late model guy that just can't be ranks.
Yeah. I think all of them are going to get beat by Connor Zilic probably, but well, duh. But
I can't even count him as a late model guy because he's a
well. I'm just thinking the guy's going to Cup in the next 5 years.
Yeah, he's got a Cars Tour gig that he runs every now and then, and he runs top 5 just about every week.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different discussion. Well, guys, I think that just about does it for this week. The Cars Tour is off for the next couple weeks until Caraway on Wednesday, July 3rd, but there's no shortage of late model action. If you're in the area, the South Boston 200 is going on Saturday, June 29th. A lot of the Cars Tour guys are going for that. That's a Triple Crown race. If you're up in New Hampshire this weekend and have time to make it out to Thunder Road Thursday night, when you see this, that'll be tonight. For the Governor's Cup, I'll be there. And then next weekend for Nashville, the Broadway 150 Pro Late Model race at Nashville Fairgrounds, I'll be there as well. Josh Berry and Ross Chastain supposed to be in attendance that night. So again, big stars come to the late model scene. Love to see it. But yeah, we will see you next time when we get back to On Tour. Y'all have a good day. Take it easy.